Let's move on to the last part of section 80 deductions. Now, let us start with deductions based on income. See, what I feel, there are two sections which will better to discuss directly in the class, 80 JJAA as well as 80 RRB. Okay. Now, apart from these two, let us go to 80 QQB and 80 JJAA will discuss in the class. Now, let us go and finish 80 RRB and let us also finish something called as 80 TTA, TTB, and finally the last one is going to be 80 U. With that, I can say apart from 80 JJAA and QQB, all section 80 deductions are set to be done. Now, first let us get into and see what is this section 80 RRB speaking about. RRB, whenever you are having a patent and you have given that patent on lease or something to some other person, you have given the patent to someone. So on that patent, you are receiving some sort of royalty. So as you are receiving some sort of royalty, ultimately that royalty income is allowed as deduction under something called as 80 RRB. So any individual who is resident and his total income is having something called as royalty income from patents. You have developed a patent, you have given this patent to some other person, he is using the patent. So ultimately, as he is using the patent, he is giving you some sort of royalty. So whatever royalty received, that royalty received is eligible for deduction under 80 RRB. Now, what it says, you may receive the royalty in foreign currency, you may receive the royalty in the Indian currency. Whenever you are receiving that in foreign currency, the act says royalty income in foreign currency has to be received in within 6 months from the end of previous year. So as our previous year is 1920, within 6 months from the end of the previous, that means within 6 months from the end of 31st March 2020, that is within the end of 30th September 2020, if you are supposed to receive the royalty income in foreign currency, that entire amount of royalty income should be received, or else to the extent not received will be allowed as deduction. Say suppose 10 lakhs is your royalty income. Of the 2 lakhs is the amount which you are supposed to receive from the foreign country. Of that, let us consider 1,50,000 has been received within set time limit. Remaining 50,000 has not been received within the set time limit. So ultimately, you cannot take 50,000 into consideration. Only you are supposed to consider 9,50,000, but not the 50,000 which is not received within 30th September 2020. Now, what is the amount of deduction which is allowed? Please draw the following. What is that? The first one says royalty amount actually received. Whatever amount of royalty actually received, that, or rupees 3 lakhs, whichever is least. Same as per QQB. 80 QQB also the amount of deduction remain the same. Royalty amount received or rupees 3 lakhs, whichever is least, is allowed as reduction under 80 RRB. That's it. That's what is something called as was section 80 RRB. Now, let us get into something called as TTA, TTB. Now, what is TTA? To whom it is applicable? Any person who is an individual and HEF. If few conditions are satisfied, he can take the benefit of TTA. Now, what is the condition? He is having interest, is having eligible income, which is nothing but interest on savings deposit. Any individual or HEF having a savings bank account, on that, if he gets some sort of interest, then he is eligible for claiming 80 TTA. Now, saving deposit can be maintained in a bank which is as per the Banking Regulation Act, or even it could be maintained in cooperative bank, or even it could be maintained in what? Even it could be maintained in post office. So anywhere you maintain this, on that you are having some sort of savings bank account or savings deposit account, on that you are getting some sort of interest, then ultimately least of the following is allowed as deduction. One is nothing but the interest actually received is one thing that I have to consider. Then the next one is what? Then the next one is nothing but rupees 10,000. Whichever is least is allowed as deduction. Now let us see what is 80 TTB, to whom 80 TTB is applicable. 80 TTB is applicable for individual. Any individual who is having interest on deposits, any sort of deposit you are having on the deposits, if you are having any sort of interest which is received, then ultimately he can take the benefit of 80 TTB, provided that person is a senior citizen. If the person is not a senior citizen, he can't take 80 TTB. So two conditions. He should be having interest on deposit and he should be called as a senior citizen. Then what? Least of the following will be allowed as exception. What is the least of the following? First one is always the same, interest actually received. Then the second one is what? Rupees 50,000. So interest actually received or rupees 50,000, whichever is least, is the amount which you can take it as a deduction under 80 TTB. TTA, other than senior citizen, individual, HUF, having interest on savings deposit account, TTA. Senior citizen, having interest on deposit account and he's an individual, TTB. TTA says interest received or 10,000, whichever is least. TTB says interest received or 50,000, whichever is least. So that's what is something called as what TTA as well as TTB. Now let us move on to the last section, which is something called as section 80U. So 80U is the last section which we are supposed to consider. So there is no difference between 80DD as well as 80U. Only one difference is there. What is 80DD? Any sort of medical treatment incurred for dependent disabled, 80DD. In case of 80U, the SSC himself is disabled. If the SSC himself is disabled, he can take the benefit of 80U but not 80DD. So SSC, so simply speaking, disabled SSC, any SSC who is disabled can take the benefit of section 80U. What is the amount of deduction? Same as 80DD. Partial, severe. In case of partial disablement, what? 75,000. In the case of severe disablement, 1,25,000. For this, what he has to do? Obtain certificate. You are supposed to obtain a certificate from certified medical practitioner. Any person who is supposed to obtain a certificate from the certified medical practitioner. So if you obtain the certificate from a certified medical practitioner, then the SC can take a deduction under 80U. So with this, apart from 80 QQB and 80 JJAA, we had done with all the sections of 80 deductions. Now in the next video, what we'll do, we'll start with the head of incomes. We'll start with income from salaries. We'll discuss how do we compute income from salary, what is the charging section for the head of income, and everything we'll try to discuss in the upcoming classes, right?